Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be diving deep into something we all need to be better at.
That's right.
Communication skills.
Yeah.
And not just the basic stuff.
Right.
This is for folks that already know kind of the basics.
Absolutely.
We're going a little bit deeper today.
Yeah.
And we've got a whole stack of research articles, all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Tons of sources.
So we're going to pull out the most interesting points from all of that for you.
Absolutely. And you know what's interesting to me is we often think about communication as how to speak effectively.
Yeah.
But really, I think maybe the best communicators are fantastic listeners.
I was reading about that, and I think one of the articles even mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so true. It's like we think about how to be better at talking, but what about listening?
Yeah.
And I was reading about this thing called reflective listening.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever heard of that?
Absolutely.
So it's not just, passively hearing what someone says,
Yeah.
but it's like you're actually trying to reflect back what they're saying and how they're feeling.
And the meaning behind the words even.
Yeah.
It's really powerful.
That's really interesting. So you're kind of taking it a step further.
Yeah.
You're not just acknowledging what they're saying,
Right.
but you're trying to show them that you really get it.
You understand. And that makes people feel validated.
Right.
Like you're really hearing them. You're not just waiting for your turn to speak.
Yeah, it's like you're holding up a mirror to them.
Exactly.
And they can kind of see themselves more clearly.
Yeah.
And feel like you really get what they're saying,
Mm-hmm.
especially in like emotionally charged conversations.
Especially, where people are really, maybe upset about something or,
Right.
it just helps to de-escalate sometimes.
That's super interesting. And I think that ties into confidence too, right?
I
Like
see.
when someone feels heard,
Yes.
they feel more confident.
Yeah.
And also like when we see someone who's really confident,
Yeah.
they often have this presence about them when they speak.
I think about some of the people that I've worked with over the years that just seem to have that natural charisma.
Yeah.
And you're right, a lot of it is the way they carry themselves.
Yeah.
And they project their voice and
I was reading in one of the sources that even simple things like slowing down your pace when you speak
Right.
and like enunciating clearly
Oh, absolutely.
can make a huge
It's a
difference.
huge difference.
It's like you're giving your words more weight.
And you appear more confident, too, when
Yeah.
you take your time.
And it's not just about the speed, but it's also about the pauses.
The pauses,
Like not being afraid to just be quiet for a second.
Embrace the silence.
Yeah, instead of filling it up with all the,
All the ums and ahs and likes.
oh my gosh. I used to be like the queen of filler words.
I think we all do it.
Yeah, and I've been trying to be more mindful about that. And you're right, it does make a difference.
It does.
It's like you're inviting the listener to really lean in to what you're saying.
And speaking of leaning in, did you know that so much of our communication is actually nonverbal?
I've always been fascinated by that. Like body language.
Body language.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
Like over 70%, I think I read.
Some sources say even more than that.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much we communicate without even saying a word.
It's like a whole secret language
It is.
that we're all using all the time.
All the time, and we're not even aware of it most of the time.
Right.
Think about just simple things like, if you're crossing your arms,
Right.
that can signal that you're closed off or defensive.
Right.
Whereas if you have open palms, that conveys a sense of openness and approachability.
That's so interesting.
It really is.
It makes you wonder how many times we're sending these signals without even realizing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
All the time, I'm sure.
We should all do a posture check right now.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure you're sitting up straight.
Yeah.
Shoulders back.
Exactly.
Open posture.
So while we're checking our posture, let's talk about vocabulary.
Yeah.
So one of the sources was talking about how expanding your vocabulary
Mm-hmm.
isn't about trying to sound smart.
Great.
It's about being able to express yourself
Yes.
more precisely and with more nuance.
With more nuance.
Yeah.
Exactly. Having the right word at
Right.
your fingertips.
It's like having more colors on your palette as a painter.
I love that analogy.
Look at
That's a
that.
good one.
I'm always trying to learn new words.
Me too.
It's fun. I actually was like, I'm going to try to learn a new word every week
Oh, wow.
and then like use it in conversation
That's great.
just for fun.
I love that.
Kind of a fun little challenge.
Yeah.
So speaking of painting pictures with words,
Yes.
let's talk about storytelling.
Storytelling.
I love stories.
Me too. Who doesn't?
Oh.
It's how we connect as humans.
Yeah, and our sources were talking about how powerful stories are
Yeah.
to make information memorable and relatable.
Absolutely.
It's not just about like giving a bunch of dry facts.
Right.
It's about weaving a narrative.
Yeah.
That really pulls the listener in.
It makes them feel something,
Yeah.
because we remember things better when we feel emotionally connected to them.
I'm a total sucker for a good story
Me too.
because it like takes you somewhere else.
It does. It transports you.
Yeah, you feel like you're right there with the person telling the story.
Think about like if you're trying to learn about, I don't know, climate change, for example.
Okay.
Would you rather read a bunch of statistics?
I would much rather hear a story about someone
Exactly.
who's been affected by it.
That's going to stay with you.
Yeah, you're going to remember that way more.
Way more.
There's that saying, facts tell, but stories sell.
Absolutely.
So true.
Yeah.
And speaking of selling our ideas,
Yes.
we have to know how to tailor our communication style
Right.
to different audiences,
Different audiences.
different situations.
Right.
Yes.
Like you wouldn't talk to your boss
Right,
the
yeah.
same way you would talk to your best friend.
Exactly.
I was reading about all these different communication styles.
Like being more assertive in a work setting
Right.
versus more laid back with your friends.
Right.
And I was thinking about it, and I do that
You do. Yeah.
without even thinking about it.
It's amazing how we do that, isn't it? We
Yeah.
just kind of naturally adjust.
So it's like we have this whole toolkit
We do.
of communication strategies
We do.
that we can use depending on the situation.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a communication toolkit.
Awesome.
Yeah. And it's important to have a diverse toolkit because
Right.
every interaction is different.
Yeah, it really is like this delicate dance
It is.
of communication that we're all trying to navigate.
That's a good way to put it.
And one of the ways that we can, I guess, make that dance a little bit smoother
Yeah.
is by asking questions.
Asking questions.
I mean-
Absolutely.
But not just like any questions, but
Ah.
questions that really invite the other person
Yes.
to open up and share.
their perspective,
Yeah.
their experiences, their thoughts and feelings.
Yeah. So instead of just like, how was your day?
Right.
Try asking something like, what was the highlight of your day?
Oh, that's a good one.
Or what are you looking forward to tomorrow?
Yeah, like
You know,
that.
something that really kind of gets them thinking.
And it shows that you're genuinely interested
Yeah.
in what they have to say.
And then when they answer,
Really listen.
really listen.
Don't
interrupt.
Don't try to jump in
Yeah.
with your own story.
Be present.
Yeah, be present. It's so easy to kind of
It is.
get caught up in your own head thinking about what you're going to say next.
Right.
You know, it's funny. We often think of communication as this big performance.
Yeah, like we're on stage.
Right. But actually, I think sometimes the most powerful moments
Yeah.
are those quiet moments of just listening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you're really present with the other person.
It reminds me of something I read about silence.
Oh, the power of silence.
Yeah. Like how we often feel this pressure to fill every silence with words.
Oh, no. But actually, those moments of quiet can be really impactful.
It can be. It gives you time to process
Right.
what you've heard and formulate a thoughtful response.
And sometimes you just need a moment to breathe.
Absolutely. Just take a breath.
One of the sources mentioned that even just slowing down our pace of speech
Yes.
can make us more persuasive.
It's true. Because it gives people time to digest
Yeah.
what you're saying.
You know, I used to think that speaking quickly made me sound smarter.
I think I did too.
But now I realize it just makes me sound flustered.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to be more deliberate.
More deliberate.
And it's amazing how much more confident I feel
That's great.
when I do that.
That's awesome.
And speaking of things that make us sound less confident,
Uh-oh.
filler words.
The dreaded filler words.
I feel like they're my kryptonite.
I know, they sneak in there.
Even when I'm trying to be super mindful,
Mm.
like, you know, all the good
Well,
ones.
it hits.
But, you know, we talked about pauses being powerful. So I've been trying to just replace those filler words
Good for you.
with pauses.
That's great.
And honestly, it's amazing what a difference it makes.
It does. It makes you sound more polished,
Yeah.
more professional.
So we've been talking about all these communication skills.
We have.
And I think it's important to remember that it's a journey.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
You're never going to be like, okay, I've arrived. I'm a perfect communicator.
Yeah.
It's a constant process of learning and refining.
And one of the ways we can keep learning and refining is
Yes.
by expanding our vocabulary.
Expanding your vocabulary. Absolutely.
And I think that there's sometimes a misconception
Mm-hmm.
that it's about trying to sound smart,
Right.
but really it's not about that at all.
No, it's about having the right words
Yes.
to express yourself clearly.
It's like having more tools in your toolbox.
I like that analogy.
Right.
Your communication toolbox.
The more words we know, the more precisely we can communicate our ideas.
And, you know, it's not just about knowing a lot of words. It's about using the right words
right?
for the right audience.
The right situation.
Exactly.
Like you wouldn't use technical jargon
Right.
when you're talking to a 5-year-old.
Exactly.
And you wouldn't use slang
Right.
in a formal presentation.
Unless it was appropriate.
Unless it was appropriate.
Right.
So it's all about,
Context.
yeah,
Context.
sex ed audience.
This conversation has reminded me of something I read
Oh, yeah.
about the connection between
Yeah.
communication skills and confidence.
Oh, interesting.
The author was saying that when we feel confident in our ability to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
we're more likely to take risks,
Oh, that's interesting.
to step outside our comfort zones.
Yeah, I like that.
Because we feel like we have the tools
Yeah.
to navigate those situations.
Like we can handle whatever comes our way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like communication is this superpower
It is.
that can help us
It is a superpower.
achieve our goal.
Absolutely. And just like any superpower,
Yes,
it takes practice.
it does. It takes practice and consistency
Right.
and patience.
Yeah. And it's not going to happen overnight.
No.
We're going to make mistakes.
Of course.
We're going to stumble.
We're all human.
It's part of the process.
Absolutely.
But it's a process worth embracing
It is.
because the rewards are huge.
They are.
One of the sources also talked about
Yeah.
bringing our authentic selves
Authenticity.
Yeah.
That's so important.
to our interactions.
It is, because people can spot a fake
Right.
a mile away.
And when we're trying to be someone we're not,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work.
It comes across as inauthentic,
Yeah.
and people don't trust that.
So it's about embracing our imperfections,
Absolutely.
letting go of that need to be perfect,
And being vulnerable,
Yeah.
letting people see the real you.
because that's what makes us relatable.
That's what makes us human.
Right. And when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable,
Mhm.
it gives other people permission
It does.
to do the same.
It creates a ripple effect
Yeah.
of authenticity.
You know, as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I'm just thinking about all the stuff we've talked about.
Yeah.
It really feels like we've just scratched the surface.
Oh, absolutely.
There's so much to learn
There is. It's a vast world.
when it comes to communication.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the exciting part too.
It is. There's always something new to discover,
Really?
some new technique to try.
So for our listeners out there
Yeah.
who are maybe feeling a little overwhelmed or
Yeah.
maybe they're feeling inspired,
Right.
what's like one thing they can do?
Okay, so think back on everything we've talked about today.
Okay.
What resonated with you the most?
Mm.
What really stood out?
Yeah.
Pick one thing
Okay.
and commit to trying it out
Oh, I like that.
in your next conversation.
Like a little experiment.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can do it anywhere,
Anywhere,
at work, at home.
ordering your coffee,
Yeah.
just see how it feels.
Pay attention to how people respond.
Yeah,
See if you notice any shifts.
exactly.
It's amazing how even small changes
It is.
can make a big difference.
It really can.
You might even inspire someone else
You might to be
more
more
mindful of
this.
their communication.
That's right.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about how communication,
Yeah.
it's not just about us as individuals.
It's not.
It's about creating a better world.
Absolutely.
You know, a world where we can all understand each other a little bit better.
More connected.
More connected.
More compassionate.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
So as we wrap up this episode, I just want to leave everyone with this thought.
Okay.
Remember that communication
Yeah.
is about more than just words.
It is.
It's about connection,
Connection.
empathy,
Empathy.
and the shared human experience.
Beautifully said.
So keep practicing, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a genuine connection. That's a wrap on our deep dive into communication skills. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.